Let's get into our first topic now. Should people affected by the bin strikes in Birmingham get their council tax back? Get your calls in now. In the months since industrial action began over pay and jobs, 21,000 tonnes of waste has piled up on Birmingham streets, attracting rats as big as cats, they say. It's left residents demanding refunds on their council tax, and those calls are likely to intensify after councillors failed to reach a deal with the Unite union last night, with nearby Lichfield Council now stepping in today, to help clear those mountains of rubbish. Birmingham City Council raised council tax by 7.5% this month. That follows a 10% rise last year after the Labour-run council effectively declared bankruptcy. The authority pointed out that council tax funds a variety of service and blamed the union rather than actions taken by the council for the state of the city. Carole, tax is there to pay for everything, isn't it? We don't get to opt in and out of that just because one bit of it's not working terribly well.
No, put it the other way around. We are paying for a service, and Birmingham residents are paying for a service which they're absolutely not getting. The council have already made a threat and said, people should think twice about not paying their council tax. Because people have said they don't want to pay it, and they said they should think twice because they're legally bound to. Well, the council is legally bound to collect their rubbish. And also, the government today, West Streeting, put out a statement, said they've created a health emergency. This council spaffs money up the wall like no other council in this country. Their budget is £3 billion a year. They have their leader of their council gets paid 300 grand a year. They've brought in 3 other execs at 300 grand a year each to try and clear up the mess of the bankruptcy. So look at that. 14.5 million on taxi services, school shuttles, 400 grand on translator services, 60 grand on yoga for traumatised people. But that's by the by. They have spaffed money up the wall. They are not paying for services for the people of Birmingham. The very least you deserve from your council tax is your street lights on, your rubbish is cleared and your roads safe. And they're not doing it.
OK, Ava, I mean, as I understand, I pay for all sorts of things from my council tax that I don't get. My kids no longer go to school, but I still pay my council tax. I don't deduct that from my council tax. Is that the new way we go forward, Ava, that we choose the bits that we should and shouldn't pay for in our taxes?
Let me come back to that in 1 minute, because I actually agree with you in principle. I think that this council has spaffed money up the wall and it is outrageous. And I think it's really unfortunate that people have to live in this, this is a nightmare situation what they're living in. But what we should be, or the people we should be angry at, are the council. And it's really frustrating to me to see the media, a lot of the media, actually focusing or hyper-focusing on these workers who are being paid between £24,000 and £27,000 a year. Many of them have been threatened with an £8,000 pay cut in the next year. Now, I don't know about you two, I would not continue working if I was going to get an £8,000 pay cut. It's absolutely outrageous.
Let's talk about what that's for,
as you said there, with the leader of Birmingham Council being paid £300,000, is his service vital? This is a vital service. I would say get rid of him. Give the money to the people who are cleaning the streets.
Sadly, it's a woman.
Look at me with my misogyny this morning.
It's a woman. but
I'd have thought a woman would have been more sensible, to be honest.
You would have thought, but no, she's taken 300 grand a year. But you just spoke there about this role, this WRCO role. It's supposed to be like a safety role, and it applies to about 120 jobs within the council's area. Bearing in mind they're like 1,200 bin man, so it's not a great amount. But no other council in the country has this role. This role does not exist.
So why is it only when they're facing bankruptcy or actually gone through bankruptcy that they recognise that this was money that shouldn't have been paid? The two things can't just be a coincidence.
No, but I think this was money that was given to a certain number of people at a certain time to keep them sweet and to keep the union sweet. So now they've realised they can't afford to do it. And they can't afford to do it.
But no, they can't afford to do it because of equal pay claims. That's where the bankruptcies come from, hasn't it?
Do we really agree with these equal pay claims if you drill down into what they are? These are...
I do.
Well, what you really...
I do.
Yeah, these claims are... I mean, this is quite a complicated thing, but they're based on gender. So what they're saying is men and women do equal jobs. Well, they don't always. What they're saying is a woman cleaner should get the same pay as a guy, as a male supervisor. That's not how it works.
You've hyperbolised that.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I've given an example. That's exactly the example that's been in the press.
The reason that the court found in their favour was because women were not being pushed forward to the sort of roles that were higher paying that men were being granted. But look, let's take it back to the bins, because this is really important. This is probably the most vital service. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, is right to say that this is a health emergency. It's absolutely disgusting what is happening in Birmingham. But our anger should be directed at the paymasters. Did you know that council has been bringing in agency workers instead of these bin men and the contracted bin men? And you know that they're paying them, some of them nearly double. They'd be getting around £38,000 a year. That's time and a half.
That's the way the world.
Do you think that money should be heading back to council taxpayers?
No,
some of that money?
Categorically not. And you know that I agree. Well,
why not?
your premise there.
They're not
Let me tell you, and then you can yell at me, Carole. You know, this is how we go.
This is how we go. Yeah.
Look, the only thing that I use from the council is the bin collection, right? And I've paid council tax now for 12 years. And that's the only thing I use from the council.
Do you walk down streets when they're lit?
I was going to get onto that. I was going to go, I actually do, because my local council has turned off the street lights to save some cash. So I do actually walk down darkened streets. And the other thing is, the roads are atrocious. I'm a cyclist. Cycling in my area is actually very dangerous because of the number of potholes and the number of not tarmac services.
And why do you think you not deserve some money back for that?
But what the argument I could make is, I could point to, say, my neighbour who has 4 children and they're wonderful and I love those children, but I could say, well, you're getting that out of your council tax and I'm not. So perhaps I should get a discount there.
Well, yes, you should.
No, it doesn't work like that.
That's the point. I think this council is appalling. You know, we're getting to a situation now where councils are being run by idiots, and this is the problem they have. You know, they gamble our money on vanity projects. How dare they spend money? You know, this particular council spent 60 grand on the Kashmiri Arts and Heritage Foundation.
No, hold on.
I'm sorry, that's not a service.
Yeah, but these are people who give their time willingly for effectively a voluntary role to represent their communities. I think it's really a sweeping statement to say that every local council is an idiot.
When you're in charge of a 3 billion quid budget, you really ought to know what you're doing. And these people do not. They spend tens of thousands of pounds on renaming the streets, woke names, you know, Diversity Row, Humanity Street, whatever.
Let's see exactly what we're talking about, because I'm delighted to say we are joined once again by Basmin Khan, our Birmingham resident, our official bin bag correspondent, who has been updating us on the problem. You found yourself, Basmin, how are you today? Good morning. The sun's shining on you, I'm pleased to say.
Good morning. It certainly is shining. It's a lovely day here.
OK, you're in a different part of the city. Where are you today and what can you see around you?
I'm in the area of Sparkbrook today, which is on the neighbouring area of Small Heath. I'm just going to turn the camera around for you. So this is where I am at the moment.
OK.
And as you can see, the pile of rubbish. Across the road, there's another pile. Around the corner is a school where there was absolute piles of rubbish opposite the school going over the railing. Some of that has been cleared now.
OK. How is it getting cleared then? Who's taking it away? We know Lichfield Council is coming in as of today. Forgive my knowledge of Birmingham geography. Are they the ones helping out in Sparkbrook, in this area?
In all honesty, we haven't seen any of them yet. I have seen rubbish trucks going round to areas. I have to admit, certain areas are looking much better, much cleaner. I think that is really because of the exposure. And also, I think, yes, Lichfield Council should be out today, but there doesn't seem to be a schedule that anybody knows where they will be, where they will be starting.
How about this question we're asking today, Basmin? Would you be demanding some of your council tax back, given the fact that you're living in amongst this right now?
I think, yes, a majority of people I have spoken to and businesses say, yes, they want some of that money back because they're not getting a service. Council tax has increased and they feel like, where's this extra money going? Because they're certainly not seeing it on their streets. As your commentators have mentioned already, things like street lights, our parks, for example, you know, budgets have completely gone. So it's like we are battling with a lot less services for a lot more money to be given.
Yeah, well, listen, Basmin, thank you so much for keeping us abreast. You are part of the solution. You are bringing the attention to this problem that maybe is bringing around the reaction that you're talking about. I'm glad you didn't have to see any false teeth on the street today, though. That was very upsetting.
Today, but I mean, I'd like to say thank you to all the volunteers from Small Heath Forum and Alum Rock, because they've been doing a great job, and I just like the council to acknowledge that.
A job done. You've done it here on Channel 5. Thank you, Basmin. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Listen, you are getting in touch with us in your numbers. Basmin, once again, brilliant. But Clive is also in Birmingham. Clive, tell us what you can see on the streets around you right now.
Hello there. Well, we've been very lucky this morning. I've been going out to arranging to change the car, and I was at the garage, and my wife phoned me and says the bins have been done. I'm very thrilled to that, because they were done on my birthday the 12th of March, which was 4 weeks ago. Now, what wasn't mentioned on air, because I've been watching it, was this job was invented by the council last time there was a strike. It's the council's job. That extra man is on the back of the lorries. The council are saying it's not anywhere else. Of course it isn't, because Birmingham invented the job.
OK, so if they invented it to solve a problem, which was the dispute you had at the time.
Which has come back.
Is it any surprise then, if you get rid of it, that there's going to be another dispute?
Well, of course. They're completely inept. The Birmingham Council are rubbish, literally. And the thing is, the way around this would be is to disband the bins, take them off the council altogether, pay it to national government, pay the redundancy from national funds to all the bin men, the whole lot, get them then to re-sign with a new company, no strikes, no industrial action. They would then got the choice to sign or not.
And no chance to improve their pay or conditions. If you're saying deunionise a job which is inherently unsafe.
No, I don't mind what they're paid. They should not have to put up with this. It's not, they keep saying about industrial action, which it is. It's not the important thing, industrial action. The important thing is, it's a health and safety issue. You know, I used to work on the railway. No, you know, if we had a strike, you could argue that the public was safer.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they improve their position or even maintain their position without taking industrial action, which in their case means withdrawing their labour. How else are they going to? How are they going to sustain? How are they going to sustain the way things are?
I'll tell you exactly how they do it. Most people in Birmingham are only concerned with getting their bins done. The financial side isn't their business. Now, if it's taken out of Birmingham's hands, in the BR days when the railway was nationalised, we had a committee that worked out wages, just like the nurses do and everything else. And it was very few. There were strikes, but not many.
Okay.
Take it out of their hands. So
pay
they sign.
Yeah.
Do it that way. Otherwise, we can't. In the national government, this is bad. Labour's bad in government as they are locally.
Listen, Clive, we are going to discuss that and much more after the break. Now, we are taking more of your calls on the Birmingham bin strikes and whether people should get back their council tax. 0207 862 2222 is the number. David is in Liverpool. David, what do you reckon? Is this a case where people aren't getting what they're paying for and this industrial dispute gives people the right to demand this money back?
Yeah, people ain't getting the services what they pay for. And people should get the council tax back. We had the same scenario in Liverpool 10, 12 years ago, and we went on strike for 7 weeks. And the council haven't got a clue how to run most of the services. They haven't got a clue whatsoever. They're just people that sit there, big fat paychecks, and get paid for nothing. I've got all the sympathy for all the bin men in Birmingham, and I hope they stick it out till the end, and they will win like we won in Liverpool.
David, this is the situation. Go on, carry on.
The council just can't dictate or try to intimidate you like they tried to do to us in Liverpool, saying, we'll cut this back, we'll cut that back, we'll cut this back.
Okay.
It's council tax people's money. And our biggest problem was when we was on strike, they tried to bring agency staff in, like they have done in Birmingham, and they're paying them double money, which the bin man is getting the single money, and why are they paying them double money to clear up mess when they should have their own bin men doing their own jobs and clearing up. So they need to get their act together.
Here's a council that's already bankrupt. It's gone bankrupt. It's now charging nearly double figures, percentage point rises for its council tax every year now. So that's going up. Now you add to that people saying, no, I want 10%, 15% of my council tax back. That's going to make the situation worse. That means council tax goes up again. And we're just in a death spiral for this council then, aren't we? But they won't get what they need to provide basic services.
But that's not the
How
workers'
did they get
fault.
themselves? How did they get themselves in this situation in the first place, where they're bankrupt? Because obviously they're not doing a job properly, are they?
OK, listen, we're going to carry on. Go on,
It's
Carole.
worth mentioning that a lot of residents in Birmingham have had to pay for skips themselves to get rubbish removed. They're having to pay to take it to the dump or have it removed themselves. They should definitely get that money back because they're having to lay out money on top of this massive council tax rise. You know, they even asked for a 10% rise for next year. They've been refused that. You can't just keep using residents as a wall bank and saying, let's hit them so we can pay for our mistakes.
No, you can't. But David is bang on, because what the council could do is they could just pay the workers a correct wage, a good wage, and then the streets would be clean by tomorrow. But it's the council who are dragging this out. It's not the workers. They are exercising their legal right to dispute. This is how you go about enacting change.
Let's take another call. Paul's in Coventry. Paul, what do you reckon? Is it time to start feeding that council tax back to people whose basic services are not being provided?
Indeed, my first thoughts were, yes, people should get at least a month or 2 months' pay, council tax refund for what they're enduring. But looking at the video that you first started showing, there were fridge freezers, metal shelving.
Yep.
Now, the last picture you showed, there are big metal trolleys and other items that you would either have to take to a recycling centre or you would have to pay the council. I've had things like sofas removed for 20 to 40 pounds. Now, they're now sort of taking advantage of this situation and throwing things like fridge freezers.
So we'll always get this, won't we? When there's a crisis like this, you've got fly tippers effectively coming in, chucking stuff that would never have made it into the bins in the first place. And obviously, that community is making it worse for itself. But there will always be people that do that, there will always be people that try and make it better. That's why you've got a council in there in the first place, to try and even it out and do what needs to be done. Does that mean that we then punish the council by making them repay council tax afterwards?
Well, look at the mattresses in the street.
Look, there's two
How
of them.
does that justify? That's where probably the rats would love those mattresses, I would think.
Yeah. OK, thank you for your call, Paul. It's something I noticed as well.
Do we not think the government should be stepping in there, though? Because it is a health hazard. It's been declared a health hazard.
When you get a public health crisis like this, and there has been some talk of maybe getting the army involved.
Why not?
Because they're equipped to do it and they're not tied to unions or anybody else.
We have a Labour government. This is a Labour council, which has a Labour mayor. And what are they doing about it? Absolutely nothing.
Let's hear from Richard in Buckinghamshire. What needs to happen? Is it will only council tax going the wrong way back to the people that pay it make a difference here, Richard?
No, you shouldn't pay any of those people who voted the Labour Council into power in Birmingham 12 years ago. So in 2012, you had the Labour councillors started taking over Birmingham all over again. And it struck me as at that point that they were enacting what they were doing. And then if you look at the wages that the Birmingham City Council gave the leader, in 2012 he got 185k and currently he's on 295k. And that dude has done nothing but bring Birmingham to its knees and covered it in rubbish. It's a Labour-run government or council in there since 2012. And this is what you get. So the people in Birmingham voted them in, and so they should carry on paying the council tax.
Not all of them voted
it's their
for them.
mess.
Thank you, Richard. Not all of them voted for them.
The point he makes is very clear, though, that you have executives on 300 grand a year, which is 4 in that council on 300 grand a year, 20 on more than 100 grand. It's not right.
And we're talking about the difference that this makes. I think it's 1.2 million in this 8 grand, 150 workers. So if you actually paid them, it'd be 1.2 million, and this would go away.